be, oh, I can't wait. I have my pen, my notebook, everything at the ready. Everything's at the ready. So once again, hello, welcome, good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. This is the place to be on the Queen's platform. So welcome back. As I said, I've been off for a few weeks because we're transitioning into doing our outdoor events, but I'm back this week and I might be back next week. So thank you all for joining me. Can I get a thumbs up? Everybody can hear me. Everybody's in the house. So I'm going to do a few quick Queen's announcements. So Queens and Rudy J Media, we had our first summer cultural event on the 3rd of July, Saturday 3rd of July, and it sure did rock. And we have another event coming up on the 7th of August into doing our outdoor event. Same venue, Beckenham Place Mansion, Beckenham Place Park, which is in Beckenham, BR31SY. The market kicks off at 5 o'clock and it's a cultural array of all sorts of items. African fashion wear, bags, if you're into shea butter, we have an array of wonderful micro businesses that will be coming to showcase their products. So please do join us. You can access tickets. It's a free ticketed event, and you can access tickets via Eventbrite if you follow Queen's walking group, or if you look for Queens and Rudy J Media on Eventbrite, you can pick up the tickets that way. So we're looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible. It was an absolute awesome event we did the last time. We're also going to be at African Fashion Week on the 13th and 14th of August. And we'll be doing a Zoom in a couple of weeks' time, bringing on the directors, people involved in that event to talk to you about it. So we've got so many things planned for you. This summer is going to be on fire. It's going to be lit. We've also got the Queen's Christmas dinner coming up, which is in December. So look out for that. We're going to be doing Queens and Prosecco movie nights. That's in October. We are just going to be busy. And we've also got tomorrow the Queen's picnic in the park. So if you're in the WhatsApp group, you'll be able to pick up the information about that. Right, so we have done a wonderful array of different Zooms we've been Zooming since November. I mean, gosh, I've been really, really busy. And we Zoomed on all different topics. So please check out our YouTube channel, which is the Queen's 2020 Lockdown Series, to look at our past Zooms. Yeah, this event is being recorded. So please, be aware of that. It's also being live streamed through Facebook, and it's being streamed through YouTube. So we've gone international. So wherever you are, you can pick it up across any of these platforms. It's on the Facebook. If you look for We Love Health and Wellbeing, that's how you'll pick up the information about that. So have your pens and papers ready. So let's get into today's session. Queens and our beautiful melanin rich skin. Exploding, smashing the myths about our skincare and the crazy beliefs and untruths that are out there. This week the Queens will be, I'm just so excited. I will be accompanied by my wonderful guest, CEO and Black Beauty cosmetic scientist Cheryl Jumbo. Woo! I can see Miss Cheryl smiling beautifully. The panelists for this week will be Birmingham's first Black beauty consultant, Norma Ellis, Safina Charlie, owner of Sitting Pretty Academy, alongside Aisha Gardner, owner of S Spa London, discussing myths and skincare beliefs. So I'm going to call Cherry in onto the platform. You can unmute yourself.
Hello, and grand rising to all of you beautiful people this morning. Thank you for having me on as your guest host today, Jed. It's definitely a privilege. I see all the amazing events that you do, so it's great to be co-hosting with you today.
Oh, thank you. So we're going to be discussing skincare beliefs and myths and debunk some of these widely held opinions and perspectives. Guess you will hear from top beauty industry experts who actively aspire to helping people in various capacities to look and feel their absolute ultimate best. And we sure do rock.
We absolutely do. So, yes, as you've mentioned, Joan, we have a fantastic show lined up today. I've brought with me a few friends from the world of beauty and skincare. And as you mentioned, they are leading experts, and can't really wait to introduce them to you a bit later. But before we do, let me share a little bit about myself. So as you quite rightly mentioned, I am a cosmetic scientist. So cosmetic scientist, for those of you who may not be aware of what that is, basically someone that's trained, I went to university, learned how to become a scientist that formulates your personal care products. So whether that's perfumes, your toothpaste, your shower gels, your lipstick, or your aftershave, these are the things that I would have been creating in the laboratory. Um, Currently, I also am the CEO of Black Beauty Communications, which hosts the Black Beauty and Fashion Awards Diaspora and Africa. Ultimately, what this awards does is we give awards to manufacturers of outstanding products that are suitable for women and men that look like me, as well as individuals of mixed heritage. Right across the globe, from the Caribbean right through to Canada and the United States. And then, of course, we have the African branch where we put a spotlight on the innovation and the product development coming out of Africa. It's about time that we started to, again, profit from our beauty, our hair, our fashion. And that's really what the award is all about, as well as celebrating our unique and individual beauty with such a diverse group of people, and also elevating it, because African beauty is actually the standard of beauty. Anywhere across the world, Joan, I'm sure you'll agree, you will see our influence.
Oh, absolutely. And it's really about, and I've been saying it for weeks, and that's why, I called our group Queens, because we must realize how regal and we wear the crown, and we must look at ourselves as just being absolutely beautiful. We're powerful, we're awesome, all these things. So,
Absolutely.
like
When
I
you
was
see a
saying,
girl called Kim wearing Fulani braids, you know you're doing a good job.
it's like I think that, prior to, actually coming, bringing the show together, for me, what really inspired me to, to say, well, we're going to have to talk about this. Because recently there was an explosion of brands offering skincare solutions, especially for melanin rich skins, suggesting that those with darker skin tones need to use skincare ranges devised exclusively for them. And there are
Yeah.
actually products out there now, the huge, manufacturers are creating all these products for us. And I thought, goodness, what's going on here? We need to, have some kind of input and a realization that other communities can see that there's money, especially in our community. And it's really, and the other aspect for me is really about, how are they manufacturing these things? Do we have a real input into what's being manufactured for our skin?
Well, I'm glad that you've actually raised that as an issue, Joan, because I think part of that problem is attributed partially to our history and also partially down to our mindset too. And the reason why I say that, so most of us are here due to the transatlantic slave trade. And so when you displace a people and you put them in a foreign land and you don't cater to them, they start saying, hey, what about me? What about my skin? What about my hair? But let's say we were in the Caribbean, say we're in Jamaica, we were in Africa, and there were a group of non-Black people there, we wouldn't necessarily have the take the initiative to say, right, let's create products for these people. We'd first of all look at ourselves, look at our black skin, our melanin, what works for us, understand the layers of our skin, and create products for us. So I don't think that it's unusual for people to want to create products for themselves or for people that look like them, but based on our situation, being here, contributing to the economy, building most of these industries that we're seeing, around the world, then that forces us to say, be more inclusive. But our skin is different and our hair is different, and it requires a different, I wouldn't say a different science, but it definitely requires different ways of caring for the skin. And we'll touch upon that. I know you have a few questions for me shortly. So I will, open up a bit more about, how is our skin different?
Well, during today's show, we will hear from, as I said, yourself as an industry expert. And I'm really quite, as I said, really quite excited because, through the lockdown, people have spoken on all different topics. But sometimes we just need to take a step back. There is so many different topics that we can talk about. That I've done about hair. But as I said, when I read that particular article, they actually gave a 3/4 page spread in what I call a national newspaper. For me, then I knew things were getting serious because we have been to a degree predominantly ignored.
We've been ignored except by the Asian community. So the Asian community have shops in every location where you will find Black people congregating. And I just say Black as a political term, we're descendants of Africans, but politically, we're anywhere you see Black people, you'll find the Asian community trying to cater to them. So we have Black hair shops, dozens and dozens upon them, filled with hair products. The problem is how many of the products stocked in these shops are owned by people that look like us or from our heritage. This is the problem. So there's a lot of Bentleys being driven, mansions being built with the money. The Afro hair care, just Afro hair alone in the UK is worth £5.25 billion. So if we have a larger share of this industry, this marketplace, then we'll see a few more of those Bentleys in our communities.
Yes. And we need to see that. We need to see that because it's also, for me, it's about legacy. It's about the younger generation coming up and aspiring and, believing that they can have an impact. And we need them to be, we're not going to be around forever. So we need them to be the future trailblazers in the
industry. Absolutely.
Coming into the hair and beauty industry. So this is just an absolutely fantastic platform. And what I'm so happy about is the mere fact that, it is being recorded. And, you just never know who's watching. You never know who this will impact on, how many days or months after we've done this session.
Absolutely.
So we need to be having these conversations. So, my darling, there is lots and lots and lots of information about skincare out there. So much so that it's hard to know what is the best thing for your skin and what to do with it.
Yes.
As human beings, our skin, it's all the same.
Well, this is the thing. So these are some of the myths, So as human beings, our skin is all the same. Cut me and I will bleed is what we keep hearing. We're all human, and we are. Internally, we have all the same organs pretty much. But the one thing that is a distinguisher, just, looking at us, you can see I'm different to, these are the things that separates us. So our skin is different. And it's important for us to see color, embrace our differences, to celebrate them. So when it comes to our skin, so let's say African skin versus Caucasian skin, people say that we look younger for longer. And people usually attribute that to our melanin and also the oil content in our skin. And those are two factors that do contribute to that. Some other factors are, all skin has melanin. However, African skin, Black skin, has a higher concentration and a different type of melanin. It's a darker pigment. Then in terms of the layers of the skin, so we have 3 main layers. the most outer top layer is called the epidermis, and Caucasians tend to have approximately 5 layers. African skin has 7 to 8 layers, roughly. So we have thicker skin. And then these skin cells that make up the skin, they don't lay flat. They're like, I dyed my hair last night. So they don't lay flat. They're kind of like this. So, and they're held together by sebum. And these skin cells are more densely squeezed, packed together. So our skin cells are more, I guess, packed, which makes our skin a little more resilient in that regard. And then we have the higher oil content. And as well as that, we also have a thicker dermis. So underneath the epidermis, you have the dermis. If you scratch the surface of your skin and it starts to bleed, that's when you've actually reached the dermis of your skin. In that area where you have your blood vessels, you have elastin, you have collagen. And so we have more collagen and elastin fibers in the dermis. Think of these fibers as elastic bands. They stretch and have varying degrees of stretch. And that's why moisturization is important for the skin, because when an elastic band gets dry, when you pull it, it snaps. So that's why looking after your skin from the inside out is also very important. So those are the main differences I can mention to you now between Caucasian and black skin. And then when it comes to black female skin and male skin, what you'll find is males have even thicker skin, which is why they tend to age a little bit more gracefully. We hear the distinguished gentlemen as they get older. Minus the balding hairs and the big bellies queens, but they've got skin, great skin. So men tend to should be exfoliating the skin, regularly, actually. So yes, Joan, it is a myth that all skin is exactly the same. Fundamentally, it's similar, but it does have some differences in terms of structure. And I think understanding these differences will help us take better care of the skin. So, for instance, if L'Oreal creates a product, I hate to mention names, but I already have now. So let's just say a mainstream brand were to create a product that is usually used by Caucasians, and they say, do not use more than twice a week, should be used at this time or that time of the day. For you as a Black woman having a different structure and different skincare needs, you could use the same product, but maybe you might need to use it in a different way. So I exfoliate my skin, although we say to exfoliate it only twice a week, I exfoliate it every day in a different type of way. It's not a coarse type of exfoliation. It's a gentle exfoliation because my skin has more layers. And to make it glow, I need to buff it more regularly. So, yeah.
Oh, wonderful. And in actual fact, the last show that my beautiful queens on the panel did, I've started every day.
Excellent.
Yeah, I started every day. Got to be careful about to take the skin off, but
and that's why I say a gentle. So, so I have brushes that I use to exfoliate. I have a daily brush, and then I have a brush that I use twice a week. The twice a week brush is a lot more coarse, and you can feel that, yes, I'm rubbing away dead layers of skin. And then you have your gentle brush that is just gently buffing the skin in the morning and in the evening, and I do that. So it's important that we're using the right type of products. Yeah. Sometimes we can be a little harsh on our skin. We've been raised to believe that Black women are strong, Black women are tough, our skin is resilient. When we go to the hospital, they kind of pump us full of higher doses of medication because, our immune systems are much stronger, but we need to be gentle also with ourselves, pampering in a gentle and, nurturing way.
I learned that last week and I took off a bit of skin at this idea. I'm going to have to get my technique right.
We're going to have a chat after the show. I'm your one-to-one cosmetic beauty scientist, consultant, whatever you want me to be.
Can't get better than that. One other question.
So the next one would be, what would be the best thing for the skin, right? Like, if my personal opinion, there are so many things that are great for the skin, and our ladies will touch upon some of those things a little later. But, as we're talking about exfoliation, for me, it's skin rescue. And everybody of every color and creed should be doing it. So as I mentioned before, the skin cells, they don't lie flat. They're not like a tabletop. They're more like that. So our skin cells sort of just lay on top of each other like tiles on a rooftop. And so when you exfoliate, you're effectively scrubbing away those sort of, the uneven bits, I guess, and allows the skin to lay more smooth and flat rather than having these raised skin cells in between. So that's what exfoliation does. It allows you to smooth out the skin, which is what is going to allow the light to hit your face in a uniform fashion and bring about that glow. Also, it's great for opening up the pores, bringing circulation. Circulation is important. So bringing blood stimulating the face, that's going to help the skin cells, as well as helping to minimize the effects of pimples and acne in some cases, depending how severe it would be. But exfoliation is something we should all be doing. Men who shave as well, they can tend to have quite rough skin, ingrown hairs. So exfoliation is something that everybody should be doing. And there's different types. You've got manual exfoliation. These are products that contain granules, or your most common would be sort of pumice stones or apricot back in the day. We now know that apricot seeds can damage the skin by rubbing too harshly. It can cause some abrasions to the skin. So people have been moving into what we know as more chemical, sort of enzyme-based exfoliants. So they have a smooth texture usually, and you apply that to the face, so kind of like a little bit thick. And as they start to dissolve the skin, they start to loosen up, and you can start to rub it into the skin, and it will just dissolve that top layer of dead skin. You only need to do it the once, and you'll see a difference in the skin. And of course, vitamin C. A lot of people ingest vitamin C when they're feeling poorly or having health issues to boost their immune system. A lot of people don't realize that vitamin C works wonders when topically applied to the skin as well. And so I swear by that. I actually make my own serums at home. Maybe one day we'll do a make your own product workshop.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Who knows? Yes.
And what's actually happened, I think, for a lot of people being in this pandemic, they've actually gone back to a lot more natural products.
Yes. Yes.
We couldn't, access particular shops, but we've been doing it for years. So, my daughter, she's a little scientist herself, so she makes her own hair food, olive oil, coconut oil, avocado. She puts all sorts of things into this concoction, but it works.
Fantastic. Well, there's some great ingredients there. I mean, avocado is well known for its, fatty acid content. It's great for the skin and great for the hair. Anything you're mixing up the hair, maybe put some argan oil in there as well.
Oh, yeah, she puts
amazing for the hair. So I think a lot of us have become chemists. I remember growing up and watching my mum mix a bit of this and a bit of that, and she never just went and used one product. And I think we all maybe grew up with that a little bit, no?
Yeah, absolutely. And in a way, we seem to be going more back to that, which is better. The whole pandemic, it's been that time of reset.
Yes.
To go with natural products. So I think we're moving definitely in the right direction.
We are. I think that, the question comes up a lot, is are natural products better than non-natural products? And what I would say no, actually, because you're looking at a finished product. If we were to maybe take a closer look and say ingredients, maybe, because individual ingredients hold powerful, nutrients, and they do a great job. Like I mentioned, argan oil is a single ingredient that works wonders for the hair. But when we're talking about these, for example, these chemical exfoliants, these non-manual facial scrubs, that is where technology can also play a role. We've heard that people have unfortunately lost their lives in Europe over the last few days due to a natural disaster. So that tells us immediately that all natural things are not, amazing. Natural things, you can be allergic to citric acid. You can be allergic to any number of natural things. So it's about number one, using ingredients or products that are safe for the skin. And it's also about shopping by ingredients. So I'll give you an example. I think we've all heard of a cheese and onion pasty. I'm partial to one, so just throw that in there. So if you were to turn the pack of your cheese and onion pasty over and were to read the ingredients, what you'd most likely find is potato is the number one ingredient. Because they put potato in the cheese and onion pasty. Then it might be followed by onion, then it might be followed by cheese. So actually, it could be called an potato, onion, and cheese pasty. But it's called a cheese and onion pasty because that's what sells. Most people like cheese. So there's a lot of marketing involved when it comes to selling of your products. I'm a cheese freak, and that's probably why, I gravitate to the cheese and onion pasty. And luckily there's not too much potato in it. But, I've found the balance. And that's how you need to shop for your cosmetic ingredients. The ingredients on the back of your products are listed in order of predominancy. So the first ingredient is the highest quantity in the formulation, and the last ingredient is the lowest quantity in that formulation. So if you're looking for an active ingredient, make sure that it's in the first 5 ingredients on that list, depending how many ingredients are in the product, because you can have a product that has 20 ingredients, then you want to make sure that at least the first 5 to 8 ingredients, but you may have something that has just 10 ingredients. But what I'm really trying to drive home is the need to understand what's inside the product and shop for your products based on ingredients and what you actually want the product to do. Don't get caught out by the product title and the way it looks. We do tend to buy with our eyes. We are sensory people. If it smells good, I'll take it. If it looks good, I'll take it. And, natural, as you mentioned, Joan, is sort of changing people's mindset. We are a bit more open to taking something that doesn't look so polished, organic food versus genetically modified. Back in the day, if you saw a potato or an apple that wasn't quite perfect, you might think, oh, is there something wrong with it? Now we're thinking, okay, if it looks too perfect, maybe there's something wrong with it.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's interesting you touch on like the food element, because we do a thing called intermittent fasting, and it is very much about that. You have to read labels. And what I often say, if you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. And almost the same thing, with the products for the skin. If you can't pronounce it, don't use it.
Well, I'll have to correct you there. So shea butter is the trade name. But when you look at it on the back of your packaging, it will say butyrspernum parkii. Now, most people cannot pronounce that, but I've just gotten used to saying it because I'm a chemist, so I need to know this language. So that's where the research comes into it. Cosmetic products are labeled in an international language so that chemists all around the world can understand what's inside that ingredient. I'll give you an example. So you've got a trade name like shea butter. So the average person understands shea butter, but if we were to label it on a package and we're in England, we'd write shea butter. In China, they'd write it in Chinese. In Nigeria, we have 400 different languages. It'd be written in those different languages. So it means that there's no way for us to be able to tell what's inside this product. So there's a universal language called the INCI list, the International Nomenclature of Cosmetics Ingredients. And it's a massive, there's volumes of it. And it's A to Z of all of the ingredients. So any ingredient that's introduced to the industry has to be reviewed, accounted for, and placed into that, I guess, cosmetic Bible. And it's given a chemical name. And that is the names that you'll find usually on the back of your product. So all natural ingredients have a chemical name as well. So that's what can also be a little bit confusing.
So can I just quickly ask then, so this other name they've given it, would they have changed the consistency, the purity of the product, or is it still shea butter?
Okay, very good question. So a lot of people that have had the fortune to experience raw shea butter will see that it is a buttery consistency. It has quite a potent smell, quite nutty, along with cocoa butter. So if anyone's ever tried to mix this with another ingredient, coconut oil, olive oil, you will find that the scent of the shea butter remains. So what you'll find a lot of the bigger companies doing, like the Dioras and the Gucci's and all of these other well-known established brands, what they do is that they deodorize and they bleach the shea butter to remove the color, because that color, that yellow, remember, it has varying degrees. I remember you had a lady, what's her name, from Shea Butter Cottage. And, we talked about shea butter. So shea butter can come in a lighter shade, medium shade, can be very yellow. And so if you mix that, on any given day, your formulation looks different. And because the consumer buys with their eyes, I bought it in March, and it was more white. I bought it in April, and it was yellowy. Is there something wrong with my product? I don't like the way it smells. I can barely smell the perfume. All I'm getting is this nutty fragrance. We're opening up our minds to being a little bit more open to naturals, but we have been very clinical for a very long time based on what we've been sold. So what major companies do is they bleach it, they deodorize it, and that removes all the nutrients and the benefits of the shea butter. And so you get your beautiful body lotion or eye cream. It has shea butter. It has a thickness, a bit of a consistency, but it doesn't have all those nutrition, the vitamin A, the E's, and all the other wonderful things, properties that shea butter can impart on your skin because of that. So this is where people say organics are really making ahead, because they are dealing with the most, in some cases, let's not say most, in some cases, they're dealing with the actual raw material and they're working the formulations around that. But it does mean that sometimes, you have less sophisticated formulations. So yeah. Hope that answered your question.
Interesting, yeah. I think it did.
Okay.
I've got one more question to ask you. If you could give only one skincare tip, what would that be?
Oh, it would be exfoliating. That is my thing. When your skin looks dull and lifeless and tired, give it a good scrub with an exfoliator. The skin oxidizes. Think of a beautiful tree, and you've cut the trunk, and you see this beautiful oak glowing. It's golden. After some time, it will start to become dark again, and then some people come along with some sandpaper or a plane and take off that top layer of skin. That is your exfoliator. And once again, that beautiful wood, that golden glow will emerge. And that is exactly what exfoliation is doing for your skin, amongst other things. But that is what you will notice physically when you look at your skin immediately, that it's brighter and smoother looking. Who doesn't like that?
Oh, thank you so much, Cherry. What I'm going to ask you to do now, I'm going to hand over to you, and you're going to introduce our wonderful panelists who've been patiently waiting there. I know Norma was saying she's been up since 5 o'clock because she's so excited. She can't wait to just share all her knowledge and experience with the guests on the platform. And like I said before, each time you come onto the platform, it's that you're in for some schooling, really, educational, the benefits, the tips, and it's coming from, you as individual experts. You've got years and years and years of experience. So you can't get better than this. You really can't. So Cherry, it's over to you, my darling.
Thank you. So as Joan, our magnificent host of today, has said, it's takeover time. So I would love to welcome my sisters in beauty. These are incredible ladies. So I'm going to, without further ado, just introduce them one by one. What I will say first and foremost, we are debunking skincare myths and beliefs today. There's a lot of wildly and well-held views on what is good for our skin, what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing. And we really want to just sort of clear up some of the mess, really. So, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. So I would first of all like to invite Norma Ellis. Let me tell you about Norma Ellis. So besides being a good friend of mine now, because we met some years ago, and once you meet Norma, she's someone that you have to hold on to. But besides that, she does have an incredible history and background. So Norma Ellis, firstly, was Birmingham's first Black makeup consultant. We are talking back in the days where, it was, it's still a crime to be Black, but it was even worse back then. So she had to overcome so many obstacles to be given the opportunity to even become a beauty consultant, and the first Black one. So there in itself lies a huge accolade. She's a beauty therapist. She has trained for over 40 years, and she has ran her skincare clinic not only from London but also Miami. And she has maintained and looked after many a skin type, from male to female during her career. So Norma has also helped to pioneer many beauty platforms, and work with Black women. The Afro Hair and Beauty Show, Norma was part of the team that worked with Dyke and Dryden to establish what we see as one of the biggest events in Europe today. Also, the Black Beauty magazine, or Black Hair magazine that we see in all the Black hair stores. Norma worked on the very first edition and issue of these. So Norma runs her own beauty clinic currently. She is a trained beauty assessor and a published author of her autobiography, which is called Coming Down from My Mountaintop. So let us just welcome Norma, have a quick chat with her before we invite our other panelists. Good morning, Norma.
Hey, good morning. So excited. This comes like when I was much younger. On the platforms, being much younger. So thank you so very much. Yes, good morning.
Thank you. Well, you are still very much an inspiration, Norma. Look at your skin. Can you just come back on screen? Let us just gaze at your skin for a moment.
Am I not on screen? Can you not see me?
Just look at that. See? Norma will not mind me telling you that she is 67 years of age. You need to bottle this secret and start selling it. So Norma, we're pleased to have you this morning. So as well as your amazing beauty history, you mentioned that you are an author now.
Yes.
Do you mind sharing a bit of that with us before we...
Yeah, there is my beautiful book, Coming Down from My Mountaintop. I'm plugging it this morning too. In there, obviously, has been all the experience within the beauty industry that I went through. So there's a great chapters about that and creating and helping with the, the beauty shows up and down all over England, educating women on skincare and makeup, BBC, radios, TV, platform artists, and fashion shows, the hair magazine, sort of sitting around the table, creating that, being the creator, and also having my first makeup front page on that magazine when we were moving from black and white into color and didn't even understand how black and white pictures would vary from color pictures. And over the years, I used to think I'd be so embarrassed to see that first front cover. But thinking about it now, if I saw that picture now, I would be so excited because it's coming to retro. It's very retro. It's what we call retro colors. And it was very vibrant. And we wanted to show the vibrancy of makeup for Black women, because of course we struggled then having colors for Black women. There was hardly anything. There was nothing available. And then of course the Americans, they started bringing in 1 and 2 of the cosmetics for us to use. So it was a big challenge then and we had to manage with that. So yeah, so my book, Coming Down from My Mountaintop, is now available on Amazon. So all you have to do is to click in Coming Down from My Mountaintop, and it's actually jumping up. The other night, my friend was here, and she said, "Oh, you got the book?" And she didn't know. I said, "It was a surprise." So I said, "Just Google." So as soon as she Googled Coming Down, it just jumped up. So the algorithms is now settled, and it's actually coming up quite quickly on Amazon, Coming Down from My Mountaintop. Or if you just Google my name, Norma Ellis, author, it will just actually come up. And so it's about the pioneering of the beauty industry, but also the pioneering of me also being the only survivor of the very first heart valve replacement in this country. And at the age of 5, I was diagnosed with a leaking heart valve, and in the 50s, there was no medical procedure for this. And so obviously going through that process of surviving. So it's a story about my survival, and having the opportunity to come to England to join in the first experiment for heart valve replacement, and along with 5 other children. And I was the only one to actually survive that particular operation. So again, pioneering.
Can I just stop you there, Norma? I just want us to take a moment just to rest on what you just said. Okay, so in the United Kingdom, there was some pioneering treatment going on. They wanted to test out this heart valve
replacement.
Replacement treatment. And so they called upon, was it 7 children from Jamaica to come to England?
No, I was the only person from Jamaica who came.
Okay.
So I came from Jamaica. I was very fortunate. My father was already here and heard about the pioneering experiment that was to be taken place. So I came here to join that pioneering experiment, and I was one of 5 other children, and I was the only Black one.
Incredible.
To take part in that. So again, pioneering all the heart valve replacement that people have, millions and millions of that every year all over the world. I was your first pioneer.
Amazing.
To survive that.
Amazing. So that means that you are a natural born survivor. You know, as a child to experience something like that, it must have shook you to the core, but also, I guess, gave you tremendous strength to say, you know, I can do anything, I guess.
Oh God, absolutely. I mean, you know, sort of going through that, watching a lot of my friends died in Jamaica who had the same issue, looking at all the children who also went with me who died. So there was all of that. And I am a survivor, and not just with the physical stuff, but also coming to England, and after going through racism. And we saw the racism that happened last week when our footballers lost. I was also part of those first movements here in England. We came here in the early 60s. You'd have a population of 450 children going to school, and we would only be about 5 or 6 Black children in that school. So every day you had to learn to survive within that racism, teachers not wanting to teach you, you being picked on, having to formulate your own gang culture. And that's where really gang culture came from. Because us as Black people, we had to walk together. We had to learn to stand together and fight together. So again, that racism also went within the work environment, where Black women, we were not allowed to work in shops because they were afraid that the Black would rub off on them. We could not serve them with our Black hands. So breaking down those barriers and becoming, pushing down those doors for Black women to grow into their greatness has been my journey, not just, with the heart, but also with the beauty industry and all the other things, the fashion industry, just pushing all the doors down and standing up
Yes.
When you stand up,
yes,
and you can make it work.
absolutely. And when we stand together, we stand taller. So
Absolutely.
thank you, Norma Ellis, for opening doors for others. Absolutely. And leading through and actually leading through example. So more power
Absolutely.
to you.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I am now going to introduce our next guest for today. She goes by the name of Aisha Gardiner. So Aisha, I met Aisha a few years ago as well. These are all phenomenal women, actually. Aisha came to my event at the Houses of Parliament when we launched the Black Beauty and Fashion Awards. And we worked with some of her young ladies, because she also works with young people as well. So these are women that are multifaceted. It's not just beauty that has been their calling. So let me tell you a bit about Aisha. So Aisha has membership. She has held memberships with the BABTAC, Beauty Guild, PBA, Professional Beauty. She originally was qualified in 1996 as a level 3 beauty therapist and aromatherapist. Aromatherapy to do with essential oils, in case some of you might be unsure about that. And then she went on to complete her HNC in business management. She opened S Spa London, which has 2 locations, 7 years ago, and currently she employs 9 members of staff, and she has mentored over 30 young women within the beauty industry with her employability program. The very fabric of her business is customer focused. The spa currently has a wide customer base, of 7,000 clients from all over London. Alongside developing her business as an added service, she created the Skin and Health Seminar, educating her clients due to the lack of misinformation on stress management. And we can all relate to feeling some stress during COVID. So this, I'm sure, was a well-received initiative. But she also includes skincare and health and well-being into that stress management. So over time, Aisha has continued to develop these areas as the ever-growing demand becomes part of modern day life. So please welcome Aisha Gardiner.
Morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here.
You're most welcome. I can see that you're in the salon this morning. Fantastic.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, that's why I kept turning my camera off, because I was setting up for the day. We open at 10, so at some point everybody's going to start trailing in. So I was just setting up for the day. Yeah, I am in the salon, nice and early when no one's around. Lovely.
Excellent. And see, Aisha's commitment is not only evident in her business, but she has turned up today. Check that out, ladies. Yeah, she is here today for all of you. So thank you, Aisha. So what's your day like? Tell us briefly before we introduce our next panelist.
Well, a typical day is, one of the things I've been listening to everything that everybody's saying, and Norma's just is phenomenal and so interesting to hear her story as well, is that, the reason why we end up being so multifaceted, I think, is because there's just so many external issues that affect how you could run your business. So for me, the reason why I ended up mentoring girls is because I could never get staff that didn't have external factors that would affect the actual job. So in our culture, I think there was just lots of different things. So I had girls who, for example, were from single parent families or didn't even have parents at all, or they were, adopted, or they are a single mother themselves, or there was as many different things behind their maybe lack of consistency, or so they went to college and sort of did the course, but needed that extra help, support, or guidance, if you like, to bring their professionalism up, and also even going and working maybe other places and not really getting that standard.
Yes.
And so I found that it would be best to do like an internal training thing before I even hire them. So
bless you, because this is, an issue. Opportunity is what we talk about lacking in our communities, and when people turn up not able, ready for the role, it's amazing you're able to extend yourself, because not all businesses would want to or can afford to. So that's fantastic.
it's really challenging. It has been really challenging at times, and it actually got to the point where I realised that this was a continued theme, and so I looked up one day and said to God, why do you keep sending me these type of girls?
You know what, Aisha, you are changing lives. You're changing people, how, you look good, you feel better. There is a science to that. It is true to the core, So not only are you changing people's lives that are coming for your service, but you're also changing the lives that are providing this service. You're elevating these young women, and as well as giving them an opportunity to earn a livelihood for themselves. So more power to you, and this is what we talk about: standing together, we stand taller. So thank you. I feel like I should just salute you,
Thank you.
So let's introduce Zeff. Sorry to rush. I'm a little mindful of time, and I know we have a lot of myths to debunk, and a lot of people are listening with their pens. So next, I would like to welcome Zeffina. We call her Zeff, and I'm sure she won't mind if we call her Zeff for today. But Zeffina Charlery is also another beauty expert specializing in skin, and she's also an author too. Like Norma, she has just released a book, which I'm sure she will tell you about when she comes on. But first and foremost, she is the CEO, the owner of Sitting Pretty Academy. So Zeffina is a qualified beauty assessor, internal verifier, and teacher. She set up her beauty business over 15 years ago, and beauty has always been a part of her life. She started out as a shampoo girl on a Saturday for her mother, whom owned a hair salon. So Sitting Pretty Academy runs VCT and City and Guilds beauty qualifications at level 2 and 3, and all semi-permanent tattoo, nail art, laser epilation, electrical epilation, hairdressing, and barbering. Zeff is passionate about beauty, if you haven't guessed. She's passionate about educating and raising the standards. It's important that anyone who is looking at working within the beauty industry to get qualified in the chosen field. So Zeff is all about certification and being qualified. We've got like Aisha, we've got a lot of people out here that are qualified doing great work. And then we've got quite a few that are self-certified. So without further ado, let's invite Zeff to join us.
Hi, Cherry. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Look at you, beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just getting over COVID, if believe it or not.
Oh, dear.
Yeah,
I've been know what to look at you.
I've been a bit poorly, but I'm okay. Thank you for the lovely introduction. Thank you, Joan, as always, for letting us utilize your platform. Very honoured. And obviously, it was always interesting to hear me and Norma do a lot of paneling, and obviously, Cherry, you and I now do a lot of paneling together. So I'm always sitting there like this. I've heard the stories already, but I'm like, oh, this is so interesting. Like I've heard it for the first time. So I feel really honoured and privileged to be amongst you guys. I don't know if I'm the youngest out of our panel. I'm not quite sure.
You're not. Again, not okay.
Everyone looks so good for their age. I can't tell. So I'm just going to leave it there. So basically, yes, I am now an author. Yes, so you can now buy it on Amazon. So a guide to running a beauty training school, $9.99 on Amazon. So it's not something financially that you should kind of miss, but it kind of gives you hints and tips to. I speak about beauty because that's my field, but to be honest with you, it is a book that anyone that kind of is looking to be or wants to divulge into becoming entrepreneurial and maybe wants to start their own business or been at least even thinking about it. I've kind of written it from a woman's perspective because these are the kind of things that I was experiencing. You know, I'm a mother of 3 boys. At the time when I was doing my business, I had 2 boys and they were quite young. And I was studying. I've managed to do 3 degrees in between being a mum. Making sure I can pay my mortgage, making sure I can run a business. I've been literally doing it all. So I kind of wanted to put something into a tangible paperback format so that other women that are even thinking about wanting to do business can actually, go out there and, it's possible, it's doable. I did it. So it kind of is a I call it a dummy guide without disrespect, because it kind of breaks down each section. So you can go to any section in the book that you may be having an issue with. So it might be, for example, you might be having an issue with when you're doing a business and it being quite a lonely road when you're starting off a business. Not everyone is seeing things in the light that you're seeing things when you're doing a business.
Yeah.
And when I was starting my business, I was, even though I have a very good support family network, which not everybody does. So even with having a really good support family network, I was still very much on my own when I started my business. And this road was literally my own path that I was walking. A lot of people had a lot of stuff to say, so I started to having to shut down, which then becomes even more lonely because you can't really get to maybe expose and speak about the things that you would like to, because nobody does understand, because it's not their path, it's yours. So it's learning how to adapt and equip yourself when you're kind of maneuvering in this kind of path. In being in relationships in business and having the right partner, and how damaging this can be if you do not have the right partner when you're trying to start a new business, and how this can affect you and how it can drain you and your resources, and how sometimes you don't even end up starting the business if you have like a jealous partner or someone that's not understanding where you're going. And people don't have to get it, but they need to be supportive.
Yes.
It speaks about all these kinds of ailments that I was kind of finding myself literally living in it. So the book took me about 5 years to complete, because I was actually living in the spaces as I was writing the book. So everything that's in the book is things that really actually took place and actually happened to me and for me. And I had to finish it at some point in time. So I've managed to finish it now, but I am, and the end of the book speaks about, manifestations and changing your mindset and being more open to receive and being more positive. So I am in the middle now of writing my second book, which kind of deals just with the art of manifestation, and, learning to love yourself first, and then everything else kind of ties in. So I found that when I start, even though I've been doing this for a very, very long time, I found that in the last maybe year and a half during COVID, and I think a lot of things happened and changed for people during COVID. And I think that's probably where I really found Zeff during COVID, because I had no choice. My business was closed for COVID because obviously everything we're doing is practical. We couldn't do hair or beauty. And I was doing a lot of stuff remotely. So even in terms of learning IT skills, which I'm not bad at anyway, but having to learn new things, having to understand and learn myself in that realm, I found an opening. So even in terms of manifestations and getting to know myself, I didn't have any choice. I was stuck and locked in with myself. So that definitely helped to bridge the gap. So my next book that I'm doing is more or less solely about that. So it kind of links from this first book that I've done, linking on to how you can be the best version of you and how you can deal with things as they come. So you're not seeing it as, because a lot of things used to happen when I was in my business.
Yes.
And I was like, right, that's it. I'm not doing this anymore.
Done.
I'm not interested. I'm just going to go and do ostrich style movements. Why me? Why is this happening? And this book kind of teaches you that it's fine. And sometimes you just need to take a breath and a seat back, and everything happens for a reason. And you need to see what that reason is. And sometimes that's not the time right now. And to find another solution. So, so I do that. And also which I was doing just before COVID, but we're just starting to kind of get it ready, preparing people that are qualified for the industry. Because I found that a lot of therapists that were ready, I train people that's not qualified and get them industry ready through different awarded bodies. But just like Aisha was saying, you get a lot of girls that are coming in and they're qualified and they're not
ready. They're not ready for
and all these people. Yeah, and all these people have knock-on effects because obviously they're going on to work on the platform of people that we're looking at today and having treatments on these people. So really my passion lies with getting people ready before they get to work on, commercial people, and kind of, teaching themselves via YouTube, which I know we're going to cover these kind of elements, stuff like that. So I kind of get them ready just before they get to that point, hopefully.
Okay, good. So as you can see, Queens, today we have a varied panel of sorts, all incredible women, trailblazers in their own right. And today we are standing tall together. So let's crack on with some of these myths that need to be debunked. So the first one I'd like to throw out there, this one really irked me. Someone said some time ago that makeup damages your skin. So Zeff, I'd like to throw that question to you, actually. Does makeup truly damage the skin? Should I chuck away my lip gloss and my blush?
No, don't chuck it away. Keep it. Makeup does not damage the skin. I think people need to have a mutual respect for makeup as well as their skins. It's like a computer. What you put in is what you get out, basically. I think people need to ensure that they don't do things like sleeping with makeup on, because makeup, eventually, if you do that, it does dry the skin. It does dehydrate the skin. If it's left on overnight. So, making sure that you do things like cleansing the skin, exfoliating the skin, all these kinds of stuff. Also, it also allows the makeup to sit a lot more flush, a lot more nicer onto the skin, a lot less blemishes. When you're leaving these makeups or whatever you're putting on the skin overnight, you get up in the morning, the skin looks dull anyway because it's been starved of oxygen. You're blocking the pores, the skin is unable to breathe. It's just not a good situation. Keeping your makeup stored away from sunlight. If you can refrigerate it, that's even better. Any tools or utensils that you're using, make sure that they're washed regularly, even though you're using them on yourself. Remember never to share brushes. No one uses my stuff. That's just fine. You're not using it. And anything you do, I get really touchy about that. I'm like, no, you can't. And anything you do share should be disposable, where you can have it, bye. So it's things of that nature. So I think people really have a misconception about makeup. Oh, I've got a pimple. It's nothing to do with the makeup. Unless you've had your makeup for about 20 years. Your skin 20 years later. So make sure your makeup is current. And if you're using makeup all the time anyway, you'll go through it within like 8 weeks or so. It's not going to last you forever anyway. If you have forever makeup, I suggest you go into your bathroom or wherever you're keeping it now and throw it away and start afresh. And plus, when we go through seasons, our skin changes. As we get older, our skin changes. What you might used to have used in terms of makeup, 10 years ago is not necessarily what you might use now. So it's always good to maybe, go into the makeup stores and see what's kind of good for you. And not every makeup works. I mean, my mum, I'm a MAC girl.
Okay.
So I use MAC and I use Fenty, and I actually mix them together. So I use MAC and I use Fenty, and I mix the two together. But my mum is a lady that likes to use a brand called Prescriptives. I don't know if anyone's heard of that, because my mum's really dark.
That's old school.
Yeah.
One of the old school. Good brand.
We're going old school, right? So, and Prescriptive actually make up the product, the makeup for you. It's like going into B&Q and getting paint, and they make up what you want. And Prescriptives do the same kind of thing, so she could get what she needs. So, you know, be good to your skin. Shop wisely, knowledgeably, and you won't have an issue with your makeup.
Okay, good. So, ladies, I would like us, because we got quite a few myths, and I want us to just be mindful of the time for our beautiful queens can learn as much as possible today. Okay, so no, makeup is not bad for your skin. So I'm going to throw out the next myth. It's okay to pop pimples, and I'm throwing that at you, Aisha.
Thank you. I guess if you know what you're doing, it could be okay to pop pimples. I would definitely say if you're doing that at home, no. The best thing to do is to just keep cleansing and exfoliating your skin and keeping your skin clean and healthy. We used to do a lot of extractions, but more recently in the industry, we've try to avoid extractions as much as possible now, because through fear of spreading bacteria in the actual pimple. So, and there's a lot more advanced technology, creams and products. That means that we don't actually have to necessarily pop the pimple. We can, they've got antibacterial cleansers and all the rest of it.
So if I'm at home, tell me why I shouldn't pop a pimple. You know, I've got this big old
Okay, quickly.
Why shouldn't I pop it?
Quickly, sorry, I'm really like, this question comes up all the time. Okay, so basically, the way that the actual pimple might be, you're only seeing what's on the surface of the skin. You're not seeing any of the bacteria or anything that's actually underneath the pimple. So when you're trying to pop your pimple, what you're effectively sometimes doing is pushing any of that bacteria down into the skin and into the epidermis and the dermis. So you're actually making that bacteria spread even more, which is the reasons why you shouldn't pop them. Because if you pop them, you're actually allowing that all to spread, which could potentially be making it worse. And also for obviously scarring is a major thing as well. For women of color, men of color. So also you could be scarring your skin. So yes, you may get rid of the top layer of that pimple. It might just sort of sit underneath and manifest with all the bacteria. And then you're left with a scar as well. It's the best thing to do is to keep your skin clean, exfoliate, so you can keep that top layer off and keep your skin nice and clean, and make sure that you're using the right products for your skin type.
Amazing. Thank you. So, guys, it's not okay to pop your pimples. If you have a pimple or you're having issue with your skin, go and see a facialist and let them extract it in the most careful and most proficient way that your skin will be able to heal itself much more better and look better and be in better condition. So the next myth, acne, talking about problem skin, acne is something that you can experience as a teenager, and you've seen women in their 40s that are living with acne, and men also. So the next myth is around acne, and the myth is acne develops on dirty or unclean skin. And I would like to throw that to Norma.
Hi, good morning, viewers, listeners. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
I'm just going to go back to the pimple issue just for 1 second.
Try and keep the answers succinct because we've got a lot more coming as well. Just to let you know.
If you do have a pimple and it has a head on it and the head has risen, you can just take a clean needle and you can put a opening in it and just allow the bacteria in the infection to come out. So you need to think about that. So acne is not caused by your skin being dirty. And we need to have a look at our gut. Everything that we are on the inside comes out onto the skin. And if you think of the skin as a receiving organ and a big dustbin, that's what happens. And so all the bacteria and the waste products that's within your body, whether it's from your toenails, your heart, your lungs, your liver, your kidney, the food you had 20 years ago that didn't get defecated or urinated into the toilet, everything has to come through the skin. And so when we look at acne, it's not something that happens on the outside, but it's a movement that happens from the inside because there is a blockage and there is a buildup within the lymphatic system. And that's the blood system that cleans away waste and takes it out to the main dustbin for it to be emptied. And so your skin has to receive this. So when you see acne happening, you need to have a look at your gut. Even with the virus today, our immune system, everything starts within the gut itself. And this is where we have to look at. So a lot of time when you see people having loads of different spots, every spot tells a story.
I love that one.
Okay?
Every spot
Yes,
tells
every
a
spot
story,
tells a
Daisy.
story. I had one of my friends came in this week and she's always had beautiful skin and never had stuff. And she's called me, oh, Norma, I started to breaking out. And when she came in, I says, oh, you're going through your menopause. You know, and she stop saying that word. And so each spot tells us a story. And so when we look at the spot, we can see where it's deriving from, and it has its history. And obviously everything starts from the inside to the outside. So it is important when the skin has all of these collection of different toxicity, waste products, we need to make sure that we are cleansing them and removing them. And it is very important for us to always have regular facials where your facialist can very safely exfoliate and extract all of those things and clean them out.
Okay, great. So Norma has confirmed that that in fact is a myth, and that acne doesn't develop because your skin is dirty or unclean. So for those ladies or gentlemen who are watching today that have felt the need to take something abrasive to their skin because they may be suffering with spots or acne, this harsh cleansing is not the solution. Okay, be kind to your skin. There's something happening internally rather than externally. But there are some external treatments that you can use for acne. And if you do have a problem with acne and you are looking for some advice, let us know in the chat. And we will be able to share some of that information with you. So, Norma, you have led me on to think about another myth that I would like to debunk myself, actually. You know, you talked about the skin, being a dustbin and ultimately producing what is put into the skin. So one of the things that I hear commonly is that oil equals moisture. So when you are moisturizing your skin, that, these things can be done with oils. So ultimately, that is a myth. So our skin is moisturized primarily from the inside out through our cells, by drinking water and by eating certain healthy foods. Our body retains a certain amount of moisture, which is held in our skin. And just like apples, once upon a time, if you bought an apple and you left it in the kitchen for maybe a week, you'd see that the skin starts to wrinkle up. And that is a process of oxidizing. It's losing its water, and the skin loses water too. So that is ultimately us, I guess, losing moisture from our skin. And we measure this in laboratories when we are trying to measure how effective a moisturizer is. How we measure it is based on the transepidermal water loss, which is the rate at which water is leaving your skin. So from a chemist's point of view, when we're formulating a product in the laboratory, we're trying to help the skin to retain moisture. Okay, to reduce that rate of water leaving the skin, evaporating from the skin. And we'll measure, after we've applied the moisturizer, we'll measure how much moisture being kept in the skin. So the best way to moisturize your skin is to take in some fluids, not as many as Evian would like you to drink, because they try to sell water to us. But also, you need to apply water to the skin, I guess. So maybe after your shower, you can apply an oil, which will help to seal in the moisture in the skin. But if you actually want to moisturize the skin, go for something that contains water, like a lotion. So you have a blend of water and oil mixed in together. The water is hitting the skin in some fashion through the moisturizer, and the oils in that same moisturizer are helping to seal the moisture into the skin. But using oil alone is not going to moisturize your skin. In order to hydrate, to create moistness is water, HO2. So you would need to apply water to the skin to actually add moisturizing. So that debunks that myth. So oiling the skin is not moisturizing the skin. Okay. Let's go for another one. Okay. Norma, if you keep it short and sweet, we go next. So men don't have as many problems as women. Men don't have as many skin problems as women do. Norma, is this a myth? Is this true, or is this false?
It's false, and men do have as many problems as we do. Obviously, with women, we tend to probably change every month when we go through our period cycle. That can create skin problems through the hormonal imbalance of the 60-40 ratio. But men do have a lot of problems too. I mean, they have spots, and because men also have a thicker skin, they grow more skin cells than women. So a lot more waste is going to be sandwiched, because you have your dead skin on top and you have your waste underneath. And until you remove that waste, you can't clean away the stuff, the toxin from the skin. And also men have a bearded area, which also, because they shave, if they shave, you see a lot of men nowadays are wearing more beards because they don't want to shave, because they get more skincare problems when they do shave. And if you think about you walking along and you pull your skin against the wall and you scrape your skin, that's exactly what happens every time a man puts a razor to his face. He actually removes too much skin, and then the skin has to end up growing much faster and quicker. And especially with black men and black people, our skin grow at a faster rate. Our skin exfoliates 5 skin cells per day. And if you shave on that area, or if you have a spot and the skin becomes damaged and the skin has to heal itself, just on that area alone, it can speed up the growing and dying process in a minute. You can sit and watch a black skin heal. You cut it and you can literally sit there and watch the skin growing and dying and weaving itself to repair itself. So men do have had problems from shaving, and the skin is going to grow faster and quicker. And also because they're not exfoliating away that dead cell, by the next day they build up a thicker epidermis, and so the skin looks much thicker, heavier. And then they also have the shaving problems from the ingrowing hairs that retracts back into the skin as the skin is growing and weighing it down, so it grows back in, and then taking all the bacteria that's on top of the skin down into it. So they do have a lot of problems. They produce more moisture as well than we do, and oils. And so at the end of the day, when your skin produces oil, just like you've used the frying pan and you didn't wash it out, the oil gets sleepy in the skin, and then the skin gets warm. If you go back into a warm room or out in the sun, the same used oil, if the skin produces 50 gallons of oil per day to protect itself, and it becomes waste at the end of the day, and you didn't remove it along with all the other toxin, then it melts itself down again, and then you're constantly, it's like going into a fish and chip shop and they refuse to throw away the oil, and they keep adding new oil into stale oil. So, I try to explain that kind of way, much that people can understand. You must break down your daily waste of dead cells and toxin and start afresh, because it's like a pyramid, and you're building that pyramid from the bottom and to the top. So what we're seeing with the naked eyes every day is waste, whether it's dead cells, toxic waste, everything on the skin surface is dead.
Okay, thank you. So yes, so Norma has answered, men do have just as many skincare problems as women. And I would like to add, so, Norma's mentioned issues are also quite unique to men, but they suffer the same things that we do in terms of pimples, acne, things like psoriasis, dermatitis, dandruff of the beard as well. We don't get that, fortunately, but they get dandruff in their scalps as well, which is skin. For those of us that maybe of mixed heritage, things like rosacea can also sorry. Zeff, leave me alone. She's sending me messages. So men suffer just as many skincare problems as we do, and maybe even a couple more, because they have the added beard, as Norma mentioned. So, Zeff, the next question is for you. Expensive skincare products versus inexpensive products. Expensive is better, is what people believe. Is this true? So the more expensive your product is, the better it is for your skin.
Sorry, they just unmuted me. I don't agree with that. I definitely think it's about the ingredient that is in the product. And I find that with the most expensive brands, a lot of it is just marketing techniques to make you spend more and purchase more. So I think you really need to start getting, which is, this type of platform is brilliant, because you can get to, especially with someone like you, Cherry, that's really knowledgeable on the scientific side of stuff, where people can kind of get to see what's in their ingredients and what they're buying, and maybe supporting more localized brands that makes products for people like us with our skin types and conditions. Because one of my cousins makes her own products and stuff. I don't think she even understands the essence of what she has. Her brands work so well. And they do a lot for our type of skin. So I think people just need to be a bit more knowledgeable. I mean, I used to be one of those people that really caught up on brands, and I used to see stuff and I used to think, yep, that's it. Yep, I'm going to take that because it looks pretty. The bottle looks nice on my counter table. And that's really not it. So I think just reading up on your brands, knowing what's in them, getting more knowledgeable, and more expensive is not always the best policy.
Absolutely, thank you. I'm gonna have to out a couple of companies. So, La Creme de la Mer, highly and well sought after. You'll be surprised to know that they have the equivalent of Vaseline in their product. Liquidium paraffinum is inside that ingredient, inside that pot of promise. And when you're spending close to £100, you don't want to see a liquid mineral oil or a liquid Vaseline in a product. You might as well just go to Boots or Superdrugs or Walmart, depending where you're dialing in from today. But it's also made me think about the brands that we spoke about before. Your most luxurious brands are deodorizing the likes of shea butter and cocoa butter because the smell and because of the color. So that means that even though that expensive product does contain shea butter, it's not in the way that you would imagine. And so, yes, you're very, very right there. More expensive does not equal better. So the next one I'm going to throw to you, Aisha. Black people need to wear sunscreen.
Hello.
Hello.
We kind of brought this up before, didn't we, in the other panel event? And one of the things that I wanted people to be aware of is the fact that depending on your heritage as well, and if you're mixed heritage, you're going to be more susceptible to sun damage as well. And I actually was reading, because I've been quite interested in this subject, and yes, we do. I was reading some statistics, and actually they're saying that skin cancer is actually on the rise with black skins in this country, which is quite interesting because there was a period of time where there was this massive campaign about skin cancer, and a lot of our white counterparts were really starting to be more educated about not using sunbeds and all the rest of it now. I think the culture's changed, particularly in this country, because of the climate as well. And now you've even got, black girls who are using sunbeds to get darker or for their skin to look more even. And they don't necessarily have the education about how they should be using sunbeds, number one, and two, how they should be looking after their skin generally when it comes to the sun. So I definitely think that we should be, only because you become more climatized. So, if you're not going on holiday, you're not getting that extra vitamin D, your skin's actually getting paler and paler and paler. And I think that you're just going to be more susceptible to any sun damage. I had a client who came in, and she was actually Jamaican born, and she went to Jamaica, and it was here in the winter, went to Jamaica from here in September to a 40-degree heat. And she actually burnt, but she didn't recognize that that's what it was, because to her, she was born in Jamaica and she'd never had sunburn before. And she then ended up with pigmentation marks because of the sun. But it's because the melanin hadn't built up in her skin enough to go from sort of cold weather straight into 40-degree heat. So, I definitely think we can burn. It's not a myth. I've burnt, and I do also believe that, again, it does depend on what your DNA is as well, because there's a lot of clients of mine who are mixed. Sometimes they're mixed, they don't even know they're mixed. Maybe It might be from their grandparents or their great-great-grandparents, and then they don't even know that they're mixed, or they even have, their children are mixed and they don't even think about putting any sun cream on. So yeah, definitely we do need to use SPF. And also, because of the environmental issues that we're having, the sun is changing, it's getting a lot hotter, so we do need to wear sunscreen.
Okay, so thank you, Aisha, for sharing your thoughts on that. So this is one of those questions out there that is truly debatable. I'm so pleased that you touched upon, so, people of mixed heritage, most definitely, will have varying degrees of sensitivity to the sun, without a doubt. And, as painful as it is, when we look back at the slave trade and we understand the amount of rape that took place, there's a lot of people around the world that might look very black, but maybe are 26% European, just as a matter of consequence, And so I think it's not so much about having a blanket term, because, when I go to Nigeria, the amount of people we have 200 million strong population, the level of incidence of skin cancer cannot be compared to other regions, maybe in various parts of the world. And so it's something that we do have to look quite closely at. But I guess being a woman of a darker complexion, I wouldn't immediately rush, because I do go on holidays and I do go to very hot climates, and I've been looking at my skin, and I haven't burned. And some of these places, though, sometimes we wear sunscreen because we don't want to get too much darker. You know, when you've invested in your expensive foundation, you know, when you tan, you get a couple of shades darker, don't you? So you've got to buy your holiday makeup. So some people do wear, you know, an SPF to minimize their tanning, because we all get darker in the sun, etc., etc. But I think this is an area that we need to look more closely at. We need to explore. And I think,
can I interject? I don't mean to be rude, but I think the reason why a lot of people as well don't wear the sun cream is also because the sun cream that's out there makes their skin look white or chalky, you see. So that's another reason. Yeah, that's another reason why most people they come looking for it sometimes, and they haven't found anything that you could. Well, there's only a few brands that you can spray it on any skin color, and you're not going to get that white chalky kind of feeling. So it is also about what's available on the market as well.
That's true, absolutely. And funnily enough, you know, I can let you guys into a secret. You heard it here first. In the next 10 years, things like sun protection factor will be phased out from the industry. We're finding it very hard to make it make sense. Your SPF 50 is not going to protect you more than your SPF 15 or 25. You know, you still have to apply your sun protection every 2 hours. People believe that if you've got SPF 50, it'll give you longer, greater protection. It's just not. And the science of sunscreens is currently being challenged. And as you said, in terms of the choice, you've got the very opaque that use a titanium dioxide that gives you that sort of white finish. And then we're now, well, not now, but for the last few years at least, there's been some products available on the market that are more suitable for black skin. Okay, so that one is still up in the air. I think when it comes to black girls and sunscreen, it's about understanding your skin, essentially. And I think that if you are going to a new terrain, new climate, it's always best to be prepared in any event. So a little bit of sunscreen, you know, won't hurt if you are going to a climate that is significantly hotter than the one that you reside in from day to day. Okay, so next myth of the day. So go back to Zeff. So before you apply a skincare treatment, you must first rub the product in between your palms before you apply. And that's for Zeff. Oh, can someone unmute Zeff, please? Ask to unmute. And do let me know for timing. Okay.
You're unmuted, darling.
Thank you. Okay, so I like to rub products in the palm of my hand just to get it nice and warm before putting it onto the skin. Is that what you're asking me, Cherry? If we should?
No, basically there's this myth that before you apply any product to your face or body, that, or your face rather, that, you know, you need to rub it in between your hands.
In between your hands?
Yes. I would say it's a hard, fast no. I think that you're wasting product.
Not like that. Yeah, that's too much. Yeah. Fingertips is cool. And just put it on. Everything should be like, when you're applying products onto the skin anyway, it should be like a pea size, because the products that you should be using, that we use, are very concentrated. So you don't need copious amounts of them. It's not like being in the shower and washing your whole body. And a lot of the stuff that we use, we normally like to use them with water anyway. So if I use serums, then that would be followed by water. So it just helps it flow onto the skin. So you get a better coverage anyway. So doing it in that method, you're just wasting unnecessary products. So I would say fingertips, certain products that you're using, I would say use it with water. So if I'm washing if I do a lot of the stuff in the shower, so I don't ever towel dry my face.
Okay.
I allow the residue of the water to stay on the skin, and then I'll use my serums or whatever, and I'll just massage the rest of fingertips, massage the rest of the product in with water on the skin. So that's how I would do it.
Okay, great. Yes, so don't need to waste product. You know, your products tend to cost quite a little bit of money. We invest in our beauty, don't we? So you can apply products directly onto the skin. If you've got a dropper bottle, drop that oil onto the face and just massage it in. Get your cream, put a little bit on your tips of your fingertips, and let it go into the skin. And sometimes you can let the skin absorb the product. You don't have to, rub it in. You know, the skin is looking for that extra goodiness. Look at me, I'm getting all excited about products. This is what I live for. Okay, so I've got a question. I've got a direct question, and I'm going to put this to both Norma and Aisha. Although all ladies can answer because they all work in this remit. But I'd like to put it to you two ladies. So when you are going to receive a professional service from a salon or a clinic, such as yourselves, services that you provide, what should a customer be looking for? In terms of the world of plastic surgery, we've seen people fly to foreign countries and have ended up with, breast implants in their bums and bum implants somewhere else, or, silicone injections that have gone wrong. And you wonder to yourself, how did they not spot the signs? So when it comes to getting a beauty treatment, what should the customer be looking for to know that they're in a professional establishment and are going to get a quality service?
Well, I would say asking, a lot of people do not ask their therapists for qualifications. They don't do a lot of research beforehand. Word of mouth is obviously really good, but obviously I've been in this industry for a long time, and I've been and seen a lot of different things and places and situations, and anyone can set up a clinic that looks really regal and, white walls and white leather couches and some, fake flowers, and put on a white doctor's coat. And guess what? I can do wonders, and then next minute you're bodged. So
okay, so
anyone can do that. So qualifications.
Okay, so Zeff says as the first point of call, qualifications. What else would you add to that, Aisha? Then we'll come to you, Norma.
A consultation. A consultation, 100%. If you're going to go to a professional, especially now when we've got COVID as well, especially now if we've got COVID as well, like you want to make sure that people are asking relevant questions. So with us, we have like just a sort of general consultation that asks about your medical history. You have to give your date, your doctor's, like your GP name, address, and if you've got any COVID symptoms. But there's an array of things that you have to tick to say you haven't got anything, that you've got any of these as an issue. And then we do, for advanced facials, we then do a further consultation again to find out people's medical history, background, if they're on any medication, because this little bit of an investigation for us. So when somebody walks through the door, I can relatively see what skin type that they are, and that's taken years to get that experience. But sometimes you need to do an investigation to see if there's medication that they're on, or there's any kind of lifestyle choices that they're making that could potentially have an effect. But you want to kind of give that extra advice as well about lifestyle choices. If people are drinking a lot of alcohol, or staying up like only having 2 hours sleep a night, all of that's going to affect their skin, you see. So you need to kind of factor that all in order to treat their skin. So a consultation, and I'd also say to clients to ask lots of questions, exactly what Zeff said. Ask questions. There's anybody that's not really confident or 100% on their knowledge is going to find that quite irritating and quite difficult, and so therefore you'll know straight away, depending on how that they react, whether or not they're confident about what they're saying.
Okay, so you've heard, ask questions, ask for qualifications, and make sure you get a consultation. Norma, legendary Norma, what else can you add to that? What should a consumer be looking for when seeking a professional service?
Well, I would say a lot of the first stop is to always have a friend recommend someone that has helped them through their own problems. So recommendation is your best guideline. That's one of the things. I mean, I've built a thriving business from here to Florida on recommendation. So recommendation, and as Aisha said, consultation is the key. And when you're in a consultation with a professional, you will know whether or not they're good at their job. When I give a consultation to my client, it's always for 1 hour. And sometimes that consultation can go on for more than 1 hour, because it's not just about investigating about what the client is using, what is going on with them and their lifestyle, their illnesses, but it's also educating them as well. So by the time the client leaves my consultation, they should know as much about their skin as I do as a professional. So my consultations are very much related to how they would maintain the car, how would they maintain their house, because your body is just like that. It's like your computer, it's like your house, it's like your car. And so for me, consultation, when you come to me or any other professional, they should be able to educate you that even if you don't come for treatments, even if you don't come back to them ever again, that they're able to maintain their skin for the rest of their life with the knowledge that they've taken away from you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So your consultation is a great learning experience, not just for the professional, but for you as well. Make sure to ask questions. Don't be afraid. I think sometimes we can feel intimidated going into the hairdressers, the salon, the clinic. But remember, you're paying. This is a paid for service. And elevate your voice and make sure you're getting the treatment that you deserve and ask the right questions. So,
Cherry, can I just jump in?
Yes, Joan, I said to call you.
Because I'm concerned, I'm not overly concerned, but because time is ticking on. So I just want to quickly ask a quick question, and if you can kind of like move into, I want to get...
Well, I want to hand over back to you, please, Joan. I know you have some cute questions in the chat.
Yes, I've got lots of questions, but one question that I really, really want to ask, and, you know, a lot of the queens that are on the platform now and in the past, you know, going through menopause, etc. So I want to know about facial hair and excess facial hair. So, you know, what sort of treatment? I mean, there are those who are plucking and doing all sorts of things, and of course, damaging the skin. So any tips and advice in regards to facial hair?
I'm sure Zeff can answer that one very well for us. Yes. No dermaplaning, though.
No dermaplaning. Electrolysis is really good. Back in the days, I know a lot of people were using electrolysis before laser was out, but laser was quite expensive at the time. And I think they were using laser at the time that was only good for, we call it a Fitzpatrick, which is a scale from 1 to 6. 6 being really dark in complexion, black, Asian, and 1 being snow white, so to speak. So a lot of places were only using laser machines from 1 to 4, so really, or 1 to 3, kind of keeping to your Caucasian skins, which wasn't good for us and would give us pigmentation, burning, etc., etc. So electrolysis was a thing that was used at the time, and a lot of people at the time, I don't think, was knowledgeable about it, because people were coming into me with burns and bumps and scarring from electrolysis. So electrolysis is good. Electrolysis is a form of permanent hair removal. Laser is a reduction in hair removal. Electrolysis, we use like a very thin needle, and we insert it directly into the hair follicle with current. We apply current to that, couple of seconds of current, and then we remove with a tweezers very slightly. You can see what it does is it cauterizes the dermal papilla, and helps to burn that area. So you'll get a reduction in, hopefully you'll get no hair in that area, depending on what we call your hair life cycle, because the hair goes through 3 stages: your anagen, your catagen, your telogen. So you're growing, you're kind of resting, and your finishing stage. So we try to get it at the anagen stage, right at the beginning. And that's something that you should kind of do. We don't, during that process, if you are going to have electrolysis, it is a very slow process. You're working in each follicle, so sometimes we only work in small areas for electrolysis, like the chin area, you know, around this kind of area is really good for that kind of thing, and it can be quite costly. A lot of salons don't do it as much now. They're more kind of opt for the laser. I do it by me because I like the long-term effects from it. But you wouldn't, if you was doing electrolysis, of course, of it, you would not be able to wax in that area or pluck in that area while you're going through that process. Within about 3 months, you should see a big difference after having that process done. In a nutshell.
Very much for that. Thank you. Thorough answer there. Montrese, I'm going to jump over to you, my darling, because there's loads and loads of questions. So what's the first one you're going to share with us? Yeah. Unmute yourself, that's it, babe.
Yeah, there we go. There's so many. Let's just go with one because it's a two-edged question. Both Bernice and Ange asked the same thing. And the question was, how do you apply vitamin C on your skin? How much should you use? How often? And what's the best one?
Okay, so I think because I mentioned this earlier, it depends. I will talk about a homemade product and somebody else can talk about something else. So where I was talking about vitamin C being applied topically, there's creams available. But as a chemist, one of the things that I cited is that standard vitamin C has a shelf life of 4 weeks. And the longer it's in the bottle, the weaker it gets. So I like to actually make my own vitamin C preparation at home. So you can get a regular atomizer spray bottle that you buy from Superdrugs or Boots. You can buy some vitamin C. Buy the pharmaceutical grade, the edible grade, that's the safest bet. At 20% in your formulation. So you could mix it with, let's say, some distilled water or some bottled water. Worst case scenario, put a little bit of aloe vera gel in there. At 20% of that mixture, if that were to be vitamin C, you could add the powder, mix it up, shake it up until that powder dissolves, okay? So then you have a 20% vitamin C product, right? So you can add that to your face, either after you washed your face in the morning, you can spray it on. You can apply it to a cotton pad and you can wipe it over your face and your décolletage area as well. The wonderful thing about that vitamin C at 20%, it will help with things like hyperpigmentation. So you have darker areas on the skin. If you have rough skin and it needs exfoliation, it will chemically exfoliate your skin as well, leaving your skin looking a lot brighter and softer. Now, vitamin C stays in the skin for up to 72 hours, which is why it's so effective. If you're using it at 20%, you mustn't use it. This is one of the things. Even on black skin, don't use it more than maybe twice a week. Overusing of vitamin C can actually have a reverse effect and start to age the skin because it's so potent and it sits in the skin. And it's one of those ingredients that is even effective at 2% or 5%. So I wouldn't necessarily say start with a 20% formulation. I would say mix your vitamin C at 10%. So what does 10% look like? If you're mixing 100 milliliters of water, 10 of those milliliters or those grams, micrograms will be your vitamin C powder. So that's if you want to make a homemade product. You can have some vitamin C powder and mix it with water or another liquid solvent. Ideally, water is the best, and use that to the skin. If anyone has any vitamin C products they'd like to recommend, please do.
You want to pick up another one, Montrese?
Oh, yeah, I can do.
I've got one here from Donna. I started to use a high-end product called Ipara. Do you get what you pay for when it comes, into the skincare product, or can I get the same outcome spending less?
Was that called Ipara?
Ipara.
EPARA.
Yeah.
Oh, they entered the Black Beauty and Fashion Awards. My lips are sealed. Let somebody else answer.
My lips are sealed.
She's a judge. Somebody else answer, please.
My lips are sealed.
Oh, okay. Safina, Aisha, do you know these products?
Yeah, I have heard of them. Good product.
Okay.
Good. I mean, I think we touched earlier on you get what you pay for, but in some instances, they are a good product. So I would probably suggest drinking loads of water and following the instructions on the back of the label for this product. That's probably what I would suggest.
Yes, and you're absolutely right. So here is a bottle of Ipara. It's beautifully packaged, and the packaging is gorgeous. I would say always buy. We're not here to recommend products, ideally, because they're in the awards and Norma's a judge, so we can't actively speak on it. But what I would say is it's all about ingredients, as Zeff has pointed out. Ingredients. Buy your products based on ingredients. If you turn the bottle around and the ingredients look good to you, go for it.
Right, I've got another quick question here again from Donna. I had an expensive eyebrow wax and tint and lash lift, and last weekend, which unfortunately caused a severe allergic reaction, landing her in hospital. The skin is going through a traumatic recovery process. Can any of the experts recommend how to make recovery less painful, faster, and how she can eliminate some of the long-term scarring and effects? So she's had an eyebrow wax and tint and lash lift and tint.
I've had a lash lift before, and it gave me an allergic reaction. So, I mean, I took antihistamine straight away, cold compress. I knew what to do immediately when that happened, and I started getting tingling. So, when you're having treatment, again, before she had, I know it's done and dusted now, but in future, when you're having tinting, lash lifts, anything like that where chemicals are being used, a patch test is mandatory, and that will save people in the future having these types of issues. It's around your eye area. When things happen, there's not much you can do. You have to let the skin heal. Processes. You can use topical stuff like arnica, which is really good for healing around the surface, but you're going to have to let the skin heal naturally. Unfortunately, there's no quick and fast fixing rule to when you have an allergic reaction to the products. Obviously, don't put anything around it. She probably won't want to anyway. She'll probably be absolutely petrified of doing anything in future. But patch tests are really good. And the person who did it for her, again, if they were, I don't know if they're qualified or not, but that's just something you would do when you're trained, that you know you have to patch test the client before, because when allergic reaction happens, yeah, it can cause you to be hospitalized with later scarring that it can be irreversible sometimes. And everyone reacts differently. No one person reacts the same. And even if you had your hair dyed in the past, we're changing all the time. Our body is going through different processes all the time. So even if you wasn't allergic and you had a test patch last year, this year your body might have changed and you still need to have a test patch again, just in case you have changed slightly.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could be hospitalized for something like that. So
Yes, I have seen some very bad cases from other people, because obviously I'm a training school. So when things happen, I get, Sophia, this has happened. Look at this picture. She can't open her eyes. She looks like she's been punched in her face. So it's really serious. And obviously doing tinting of the lashes and eyebrows is well, it was expensive for her, but it is quite an inexpensive treatment. So I think people, because it's inexpensive to a certain extent, people take it for granted of the ramifications of when it goes wrong, what could possibly happen. So patch test all the time for that one.
okay, thank you very, very much for that. And
just another thing, when you're getting a tint and a wax, you should have the tint first and the wax afterwards, because when you actually wax the skin and you literally take off dead cells, then the chemicals from the volume of the bleaching, the peroxide, can actually penetrate into your skin quite quickly. Even though the colors that we're using probably come from vegetable dye, more for the eyes tinting, but the peroxide can easily penetrate into the skin, because you've actually kind of exfoliated. When you wax the skin, it's a part of exfoliation too. So tint first and then wax. And so if they did that, wax first and then tint, that can also cause a quick reaction as well.
Thank you for mentioning that, Norma. You know, most people, when they do get this procedure done, you think it's logical why we see the process, but actually it should be done the other way, because they're shaping the eyebrow and then they're coloring in the new shape. So they need to be very, very skilled, better skilled, to make sure that they are applying the dye first and giving the bride a treatment, proper treatment, and then waxing it afterwards. It's a little bit more involved. And that's why I think many of these companies are doing it the other way around. And I'd just like to say, just very briefly, Ipara is actually a Black-owned business. So do check them out.
Right, Montrese, I'll go
Yeah,
over
we have.
darling.
All right, we have some questions about sunscreen, and one came from YouTube, and they wanted to know about a product called Ultra Sun. Apparently, it's an all-day product. Are any of you familiar with that product?
No, but let me just have a quick look. Ultra Sun, and it's all day.
Yeah, apparently so.
I mean,
You can
based
get
on
it
how
in.
sunscreens work, no sunscreen should be, one application is not a day's worth of application. It's a standard procedure, right, ladies, that your sunscreen
Yes.
is topped up
Every 2 hours.
Every 2 hours. So, yeah.
And I wanted to say something about sunscreen with black skin. A lot of our black women are using bleaching cream, and they're using lots of stronger topical enzyme in their skin product, like alpha hydroxy and all of those things. If you are going to be using those products, you must use a sunscreen. When alpha hydroxy products came out, and I was living in Florida at the time, and all these women were using Ha-Ha, which was the regular name for it, were using it. And because it's a very tropical weather, they were getting blotches of melanin buildup and scarring from the sun by using those things, and they never used a sunblock. So again, it is important, ladies, you know what's inside your products. And if these things are in the products that you're using to exfoliate or to make the skin grow much faster and quicker, which is quite good and it's quite healthy, also remember that the sun is a kind of chemical peel. The skin is the biggest chemical peel that you can have. It's the biggest alpha hydroxy peel that you can have by being in the sun. So if you're going to be using those products, then it is important that you do put on a sunscreen as a Black person. So that's one of the things that I do want to recommend, is know what's in your product, as we said. And if these hydra, and these cortisone, zone, and women who are bleaching, hello, ladies, you need to be using a sun protection. And it goes from here in England to the Caribbean and to Africa, because we all want to have, what is it? Light skin or fair skin or whatever you want to call it. Or this browning or this colorism stuff that's going out there, ladies. Hello. You're going to need your sun protection. So, of course, that's why they would definitely be recommending sun protection for melanin skin now, because we're getting into this wanting to get rid of our own melanin and look much fairer. But as we can see that the sun climate is changing, you guys are going to be in trouble. And you guys are going to be in trouble when this sun gets hotter and you have no melanin to protect you. Okay?
And you know what, Norma, I would like to add, I think that I'm not an advocate for skin bleaching, but I think it's highly irresponsible that if you are a company that produces effective skin bleaching products, why not invent a sun protection product to go along with it as a two-step product?
Listen, I've had arguments with top skincare specialists, white men, who say, oh, well, it's what the Black women want anyway. Listen, girls, I've been fighting in your corner when we go to beauty shows and the crap that they're talking about Black women, and I'll just give it to them anyway. It's what they want. Especially the ones in South Africa, those scientists. Oh my God, if only you guys knew what goes on. But yeah, it is very, very important that, if you're in that range where you think, oh, I look dark, I want to look fair, or this is one of the things that they come in, I want to even out my skin complexion. They don't want to tell you they're bleaching. Oh, I just want to even out my skin complexion. You know what I'm saying? Come on, ladies.
And Norma, I've seen the ramifications of people that do bleach and don't want to use SPF, and they become so sensitive when they come to me to have facials. I can't use toners on them. I can't. There's a lot of products that I can't use on their skin because their face is so super sensitive to any products that I may use. And if you're going to start on that road, it's a very expensive road. So don't start something that you can't continue. And it takes a lot of, you're having to do stuff quite religiously. So if you're going to be bleaching and, want to be a brown skin and all this kinds of stuff, you're going to have to follow the processes and be quite religious about protecting your skin and your face from the sun.
Yes, if you're going to do it properly. It's not by force, as we say back home. It's not by force. You got Fanta face and Coca-Cola hands. Gotta get it right if you're gonna do it.
And also, ladies, remember it's poison as well. That you're actually putting in your skin from the bleaching products, and it will affect your reproductive system. It affects your kidneys. It affects your liver.
Yes, depending which, because there are some ingredients like mercury that have been used. Hydroquinone causes cancer, but there are some more safer bleaching products if that is your thing. But you are opening up yourself to another set of other skin problems if you're not caring for your skin, essentially.
And so that leads to another question that goes along with what you just said, because that was a huge warning that we should all be paying attention to if we're using those products that do that. One of the questions from the chat was, can you recommend a sunscreen for people of color?
Well, considering it black owned, I guess black girl sunscreen. I can't recommend any other one based on what we're doing today. Yes, black girl sunscreen, and are now creating an offering for children too. So
It is what it is. You go.
Cool. There was another one that talked, and it was from Donna. She said that she has an allergic reaction to the sun, and she has a particular area that looks like it's been burnt in the fire if she doesn't protect it. And so she wants to know, is factor 50 or clothing over an area the best and only way to protect it?
Well, you know what? It depends what Donna was actually doing as well. Because I see a lot of women, black women, are actually going onto the beach and lying in the sun. And also, when you go to the beach, you're in the salt water. And let me tell you something, salt water is a quick way of exfoliating as well. That exfoliate the skin very, very quickly. And also then you're back into the sun, which is also, as I said, it's the biggest chemical peel. So again, it just depends. Was she exposed in that way, or was she just walking around in the sun? So if you're just walking around in the sun and the shops, and you're from England, which is a much warmer, less warmer climate, and you go to somewhere that's really hot, then of course you're going to have to protect yourself using a hat. You're going to have to use a hat to sort of reflect away some of that natural sunlight that comes onto the skin, and also try and see if you can even use some aloe vera. Is also soothing, as far as if you do get sunburn and if you've been out in the skin and you see that you're having an allergic reaction and you're aware. You can get in touch with, getting the aloe vera plant. You can use that. But also, a good factor, it's a 15 factor could work just as well as a 50 factor, a total sunblock. It just depends. It really just depends. But, you have to use your own common sense in how you're going to protect yourself. The first 3 days of you being exposed to a hotter climate than where you've come from is the most important thing. So you have to climatize yourself very slowly. It's like when a white person go into the sun, the first day, they're just going to burn and look like a red lobster. And that's when the melanin is coming from the deeper tissue of the dermis and coming up to protect them. And then after 3 days, after they're going through that process of a red lobster, then you start seeing them changing from that red lobster to a brown. And so it's the same thing with us. So again, Donna, depending on what color you are, if you're very dark, whether you're coming from a colder climate into a, it's edging yourself for the first 3 days into climatizing, and also allowing your natural melanin to come to the surface to give you that extra protection with that extra protection that the sunblock is doing.
And I just want to add as well, in terms of sun protection, so we talked earlier on about the factors. So factor 30 will give you 97% protection. Factor 50 will give you 98% protection. And then factor 100 will give you 99%. So people assume that the higher you go, you're getting this significant protection. You're better off buying around SPF 25 to 30, because that's going to give you approximately 97% protection. Spending more money on factor 50 for that 1% is just not worth it.
Yes, for that. We have some really quick questions that are like, I'll ask them only because they're one-word answers. So someone wanted to know, is Norma's book going to be available on audio?
Yes, it's going to be available in audio, and my lovely Cherry, as I've asked her to become the reader, because I did not want to become the reader because I know the story, and as I'm reading the book, I might want to change it. So my lovely Cherry I have asked her about 2 weeks ago to be the reader of the Audible. It won't be out just yet because we're just in the middle of having the launch with Zeff. Zeff and I is having a double launch on the 31st of December. We're all working very hard, and Cherry is our event planner, and Cherry is putting it all together for us. And so when the book is on Amazon now, and of course it's a lovely tabletop book. So, you know, you can have it on your coffee table when your friends come. It looks very glamorous, or you can package it for a Christmas present for someone. And so once we've gotten through the launch and then making a new ad, because the first ad we made 2 weeks ago was a bit messed up, to put out on all the platforms, then we will be definitely going into the audio book. But I wouldn't wait so long for the Audible.
So just to clarify, you said, Norma, December, and it's the end of July for everyone.
Oh, sorry, it's 31st of July is our book launch.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes, the 31st of July, and there'll be an after party as well afterwards if you like to party.
Hey. Let's go back to skincare. Someone asked, what causes blackhead moles over your face?
It depends what they mean by blackhead moles. We have moles that look like little blackheads, and they start growing from the skin. And some of those can be quite dangerous. So as a therapist, if we have a client who has lots of mold, it could be hereditary. We have to constantly be checking moles. If they start changing around the baseline, in color, if they've gone like a bit reddy, a bit browny, are they painful? But once they've actually grown away from the skin and they're kind of hanging, that means they have no more life in them. But that's the way, and I don't want to scare anyone when I say this. This is how a cancerous cell is. And all it is, it's dead cells that is compact. Some black skin are very, very dry skin, and they're turning over skin like crazy. It could be, we're supposed to be losing 5 skin cells per day. They could be like a man who shaved, and they could be losing just on that little area, 10 skin per day, turning over very, very fast skin just on that black mold. And so one has to always have a look. Is it hereditary? Is it a birthmark? Is it something that we need to have a look at? Some people, as they get older and the skin is getting very dry, dehydrated, no more moisture, then the skin is rapidly dying and they're building up loads of moles. So there's the moles. And then you also have spots that have turned into blackheads that create the black marks. And sometimes those blackheads, because they have not been extracted, have rotten away on the skin, and they have deep, like a little hole has appeared in the skin, and then it looks like a black hole. So it just really depends. We would have to see that and know what we're actually talking about. But if it's the moles that are hanging off, they can be removed. Once they become very dead, they're black, and they've hanged away from the skin, they can be safely removed. If they're still in the skin, then they should not be disturbed.
Okay, let me just quickly jump in. Thank you for that, Norma. Always very, very thorough. Thank you very much for answering that question. Quickly, is electrolysis compatible with keloid-prone skin? You could jump in and answer that one quickly for me.
Okay, I can answer that. Do you want to answer it, Zeff, or shall I answer it? But personally, from my experience, if you know that you're prone, if you're prone to keloids, you should always be aware of certain things like tattooing, hair piercing, and also from electrolysis, because we are actually, going into the hair follicles, and that could stimulate skin to grow quite quickly. So again, you will have to speak to your technician and know how much of keloids your skin keloid, because even some ladies, when they're going through their menopause and they have a spot from menopause, that can also turn into keloid. And if they're actually trying to fish for that hair and they're constantly tweezing it and going back into it, then that can also keloid as well. So it's about us knowing your skin, how it works as an individual. And it might be better to have laser for you than to have electrolysis. But again, it's something that you need to speak to, but it can happen even from just having a tattoo, your skin, or hair piercing. You see some people have hair piercing and keloid appears.
Yes, my daughter is a victim of that, massive keloids, but that's a whole different, another subject. Awful. So if you are pregnant, have to be very
Can I add something as well into the keloiding? With people that keloid, you don't always keloid in the same area. You really do have to be mindful. You can keloid, on your foot, or keloid on your face, or have something done, and you don't have to keloid in the same area. So it is always going to be an element of surprise if you're a general person that keloids.
One more question, Montrese, because I'm really half past. Unmute yourself, darling. You can't unmute yourself. Oh.
I can now. There we go. I can. Thank you. Someone was asking, so what's your thoughts about using hair removal cream on the face? Or
Sorry.
No. I say no.
No.
No. And the reason why, I mean, Norma can add her bit on why, but the reason how I know it to be is that hair removal cream is made to break down something we call keratin. It doesn't know, once it's on the skin, it doesn't understand what it's breaking down. Hair, keratin, skin, keratin, nails, whatever it's on, it would just literally eat it away. That's why the instructions are don't leave on for more than a couple of seconds, otherwise you'll get burning. So imagine that's on the face, and you might forget or something, and then it's just breaking everything down. It's breaking down hair, it's breaking down skin, it's just breaking down everything that's in its pathways. So no, I don't even recommend that anywhere on the body. There's so many other treatments that you can get to move hair now.
I tell you what, just very quickly, when I was a teenager, I was obsessed with the hair on my arms. So I would cover my arms in a MAC. And one day I was moving into the bathroom to wash it off, and my arm scraped the door, So some of the cream came off and was just resting on the door. So I thought, well, I haven't got time to deal with it now. Let me just wash my arms off. Now, when I came back to the door, the paint was different. The paint, it wasn't stripped, but the paint was no longer white. It was like an off color. It was breaking down the paint, and I was like, wow, okay. This is before I became a scientist, but yeah, it's intense stuff.
Very intense.
Thank you. I don't have any more questions on my end. There is one, actually. There's one in the chat that's asking what's the difference between moles and tags?
Moles and tags are the same thing. We just call them tags for common names, but they're the same things.
All right. Did you see the one about, do you recommend chemical facial peels? Have we had that? That's from Marcia.
Yeah, I mean, chemical peels are absolutely great, but you need to find a chemical peel that is suitable for black skin. I do a lot of chemical peels, and they must be suspended in very heavy beeswax, so they do not penetrate into the skin. What we need the chemical peels to do is to suffocate and remove the oxygen from the upper layer of the skin. And when there's no more oxygen in the upper layer and the skin can't breathe, then the blood circulation is going to, we are in trouble. We got crisis going on. And it starts sending new oxygen to the surface, building new skin, pushing old skin to the surface. And then that way you can get a great chemical peel. So the chemical peel that you use, not all is good for black skin. Just find out which one works. If it's something that's very liquidized and you can't shut it down, when we first started out using chemical peel, I remember 22 years ago, I probably used my first one, and it came from a South African guy. This is what I'm saying. I fight with these people a lot, and I put it on my client's skin. Oh my goodness, I couldn't shut the damn thing down, just like alpha hydroxy, AHA, and her skin went from being a fair skinned lady she was black like night. It took months to get rid of that stuff. So it is important that we do check out our chemical peels. I do them now, but the ones that I use is very safe, and it's in a beeswax that the chemical does not penetrate the skin. All it's doing is cutting down the oxygen on the upper layers to give you removing and shedding those skin cells on the upper layer.
Cool.
Yeah,
Very
thank you
good.
very much for that. Do you have any more questions?
Yeah, someone is asking about the panelists and Cherry's contact information. I know Cherry put hers in the chat already, but if people want to do that.
Everybody could just put their contact details into the chat, what I normally ask them to do. So what I think I'll do now is throw the platform open. So if anybody would like to ask a question, please, to any of our panelists, probably about 5 minutes, please put your hand up and I will come to you. And if you could have your camera on, because we don't like talking to a blank screen. So if anybody has any questions that directly ask any of our panelists, please put your hand up in the chat. Let's have a look. Anyone got their hand up?
If not, there's 2 more. We have 2 more in the chat.
Anybody want to ask a question? No? Okay, go for it then, Montrese.
All right, the first one is, you were just sharing about the chemical peel. Someone is asking for like a link where they can go and research or look for more information about chemical peels on black skin. If you can recommend something. And then the question we had was, how often should we steam our face with a steamer?
Who would like to ask that? Zeff, Norma, Aisha?
I can answer that quite quickly. I'm just trying to use this Zoom to put my details in. I'm kind of rubbish at this sometimes. Steaming, we actually use steam within our facial treatment, and what it actually does, it gets the blood circulation going, and it increases the blood circulation. So if there's any little veins and stuff that is clogged up, that's moving blood, oxygen and stuff along, that it can increase that a lot more. And so obviously that's why we use it. And it also softens up the toxic waste that's already sitting in the skin itself, so that we can have easy access to extracting. There's nothing wrong with you using a little steam, if you have one at home and you're going to do your little facial, or you're going to a steam room or a sauna and you sweat. There's nothing wrong, but that's why we in the facial actually use it. It's to help to soften the skin and to get the blood circulation going, and to start moving toxic waste around, so that we can have easy access to extract. So, some people like to do their little facial, their little home thing at home. So if you're going to use it at home and you're going to sort of clean your nose out, because some people rather do a DIY stuff themselves, then yeah, go ahead, use a little steamer, use your brush. These are what we say when you're using your cleansers. Get yourself a facial brush. This is the most important thing that you can do to exfoliate the skin, rather than using all those granules on your skin. Put your cleanser onto the facial brush. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be battery operated. It doesn't have to work. It can just be one that's manual. You can take it into the shower, put your cleanser on it, and you should be doing circles backwards and forward, around here, around the nose, all of these areas.
But Norma, just very quickly, but how many times a week should she steam? She wanted to know how many times.
Well, if you're at home doing steaming, we don't have time to do all of that. Just do it once a week if you have time and you want to give yourself a little facial.
So once a week at the minimum, at the maximum, how often?
You don't need to do it more than once a week at home.
Okay, so steam your face once a week.
Yeah, because you're not doing it. Yeah, you're not doing it to extract. You're not doing it to do a facial. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Let me see. Any questions? I can't believe it. Everyone's so quiet today. Goodness.
I think that's because we've answered all the questions before for them.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. So what's to do now?
You can go to the sauna. Sandra's asking how often should you steam your body in the sauna, dry or steam. I mean, it depends how often you work out. Sauna has multiple benefits. It's good for relaxing the muscles and also helping to cleanse impurities through the pores. So, I mean, you could do that up to 3-4 times a week if you wanted, really.
Okay. Right, Queen panelists. I think we're going to slowly draw this session to an end. It doesn't look as if anybody wants to directly come on camera and ask a question. So over to, who would like to go first? Safina. Beautiful Safina.
Before you do that, Joan, can I just say, before you go to them, can I just make a comment about the chat? Because we've been answering all the questions, but there's also been some beautiful feedback. And so can I just share one or two? Because I think it's also good to do that if I can, because it's been really good. So one of the comments that I read was for when Norma was talking about her product, and the comment was, congratulations on the launch of your book, one of many to come. You are kept for a reason. Such a time as this. Teach and pass on to your next generation. That was from Gillian, said that to Norma. Both of you, congratulations on your books. And Anna said that she thought it was great to have such a varied experience panel that covers a range of different ages. There's been so many positive things. Great session. Thank you, panelists. You guys, all of you did an amazing job, and thank you for sharing your wisdom and knowledge with all of us.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having us. Thank you, Queen Joan, for facilitating this and having us today. It's been an absolute pleasure and honor.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So what is your parting message? Who would like to go first?
Well, I would like to plug an event, if you don't mind. So, being a cosmetic scientist and an advocate for the beauty industry, and also someone that's concerned greatly about the economic state that we find ourselves. I want us to profit from our hair and our beauty. It's ours after all. So we have an event on the 5th, well, throughout August, but it'll be Thursday the 5th, which is the business of beauty, essentially. So one of our key speakers will be from the United States. They are the founder of McBride's Labs. Now, McBride's make design essentials hair care products. They're available in Africa, Europe, the States, Canada. So if anyone knows design essentials, it'll be great for you to tune in and hear the story of how they become worth more than $40 million before they sold and started another 30 years of business. So yeah, we'll be speaking to them. So on Eventbrite, the business of beauty, do come along and learn about the business. There's ways of selling products internationally. So that's the focus, selling products internationally. How do you go about it? So yes.
Thank you. Aisha, she had a hand up. Do you want to ask a question, Aisha? Are you there? Or have you gone? Aisha, do you want to come onto the platform and ask a question?
Oh,
I don't know what's happened there. She's disappeared. Right, Safina, what is your parting message to guests on the platform, my darling? Oh.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I was muted. My parting message is be kind to yourself, as always. Think open-minded, think positive thoughts, and research about your products, research about everything you're putting on your skin and everything you're taking into your body. And I'd like to say thank you very much for having all of us on the platform and allowing us to share forward on our experiences that we have picked up at the way. So for that, I'm truly grateful and thank you very much.
Welcome. Somebody wants to say something. Nah, I don't want to pronounce your name incorrectly.
Tembile.
Oh, hello.
You can call me Tembi.
Tembi. Hello, good morning.
Yes.
Good morning. Can you have to put your
Hi,
camera
everyone.
so we can see you?
Hi, Tembi. I know you.
I'm wearing a gown. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. Good morning to you.
So what is
Hi,
your
Cheryl. Lovely seeing you again.
And you too.
So
Yes,
what question would you like to ask, my darling?
I wanted to ask, so I'm an ordinary girl, but I own an organic skincare in South Africa. And I've been having a lot of questions about why do you have dark marks, but you own an organic skincare? And sometimes I've got this pressure of wearing makeup all the time. And if you see my profile pic, I was looking dope. And I don't like wearing makeup all the time. What is the myth and the pressure out there about owning a skincare brand and being expected to look like a magazine cover all the time? Because it's exhausting. And thank you, everyone, for being here. I love you, Noma. I'm going to buy your book when it's on audio.
Like, who would like to answer that question?
Well, it comes with the territory, unfortunately. Whether we like it or not, our face is the brand, and this is what people buy into. So when they look at us, that's what's making them want to come and take our services or buy our products. So some mornings I do not want to get up and put on anything on my skin. Some mornings I do want to let my eyebrows grow out and my chin hair be free. But unfortunately, we can't. So you have to wear the makeup.
Yes.
We have to spend money on having facials and, vitamins, and it's a very expensive lifestyle that we have chosen in this game. And if you want to be on your opt-in level, your skin has to reflect that, unfortunately, and it's just the way it is, keeping it real.
Yes. We are that advertisement for our own businesses. Absolutely. Just very quickly, somebody asked what hair dye I use. Lucky for you, I just did it last night. And this is the color. I don't often do this because it's my color. But just for you queens today, it's this one from Schwarzkopf, deep red.
Thank you for that. Right, nobody else got their hand up. My darling Norma, what is your parting message to guests on the platform?
Oh my goodness, there's so many parting messages that I would like to share with you all, ladies. I love you all. I've always been an advocate and a pioneer in supporting Black women to grow into their own personal greatness. And as I said, I'm 67 and I'm still doing it. And I hope that you'll all go onto Amazon, get your book, Coming Down from My Mountaintop. It's a very inspiring a story of my life, my survival, my pushbacks, the racism. It has a lot of sex in it too. So if you ladies like sex, it has that in too. And me growing into my own personal greatness as well. And so it is and traveling the world as well, and all the experiences that I've actually picked up from traveling the world and educating Black women as well. So there's so much I want to say. Get yourself a consultation and work on your skincare, work on your gut. That gut is so important, especially during this time when we have a pandemic. If your gut is not right and you have loads of stuff in it from 1920, you are not going to be able to get through this pandemic as quickly as some people. So your gut is part of your immune system, just like your skin is part of your immune system. When you touch your skin and you take it all the way down, It's going to go right down into your immune system. So it is important that you're cleaning on the outside when when it piles up, and it's an emergency exit. So your skin is an emergency exit. So if it's got stuff in there that can kill you, you need to clean it out and allow it to have free access. So you've got to clean outside, and you've got to also clean inside. Okay. So hopefully that will be able to help you, and find yourself some good therapists. There's some rogues of us out there who just see us doing a great job and it looks fabulous, and I want to be up there, and they're not really as they should be. So have someone recommend someone to you, and do your own research on that person as well.
Thank you very much for that. Aisha, you've come back. If you would like to come on camera and quickly ask your question as we are winding down the session. Are you there, Aisha? Because you put your hand up and then you disappeared and you've come back again, my darling. Are you back? Are you there? No? Okay.
If not, her question is in the chat.
Oh, is it? Okay.
She wanted to.
Is it a quick one? Yeah. Go for it, my darling.
She said that she's noticed the last couple of weeks she's had a problem. How can she improve the skin on her underarm?
It depends what the problem is. What's the problem under her arms?
It'd be difficult to give us any kind of consultation on that. I think she would need to book a therapist, and they could go through a proper history with her. I'm not sure it's something that we can really discuss on the platform as in any great detail. So you've all put your contact details into the chat. So, Aisha can contact somebody, one of our guests, or, do a research and find a good therapist and, go for a proper consultation so they can go into a history and discuss this particular issue, what's happening under her arm. I think that's how we should leave that one there. So Queens, thank you all very, very much. My wonderful, wonderful, radiant, redhead Queen Cherry, you've been a magnificent co-host.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Joan. You've been so gracious.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's been an absolute pleasure to have all of you on the platform. And I mean, throughout the lockdown, there must have been topics talking about skincare, but hopefully this has brought a uniqueness to the whole debate. We've been able to, give good quality information, and that's what it's about. And, these queens, they keep it real. If it's rubbish, they'll say it's rubbish. Yeah, this ain't true. And you've heard them debunk, destroy loads of the myths that are out there. Yeah. So I really, really hope you all take away, you should have taken away something from this session. And I hope you've taken away something and a lot more. It's been absolutely magnificent. I want to thank Rudy, who is in the background doing his bit, bringing people in, taking people out, letting everybody in, to Leon, who's another fantastic, techie person in the background who does the YouTube side for us. Thank you, guys. Couldn't do this without you. And just to say, most of you will know, and I say it normally at the beginning of my sessions, I'm Joan, Queen of Queens. I run a walking group, and you will not see me as often on the platform because I will be out walking with my groups, my different groups, up and down the country. And we also have a number of outdoor events. So as I mentioned earlier, we have the Queens and Rudy J Summer Cultural Market coming up on the 7th of August. And that will be held in Beckenham Place Mansion, Beckenham Place Park in Beckenham, BR3 1SY. Wonderful market where you'll see an array of Black businesses showcasing their products and wares. You can book tickets via Queens Walking Group on Eventbrite, or if you look for Queens and Rudy J Media on Eventbrite, you can get free tickets to come down to that event, which will be still operating in a COVID secure way. You have hand sanitizer, NHS cap in place. All these things will remain in place for this event. One way in, one way out. So it's a one-way system. So please come on down. And I'm hoping the weather will be as glorious today as on the 7th. And we'll also be involved in Africa Fashion Week, which is happening in August, 13th, 14th of August. So that'll be another, oh gosh, I can't wait. It's going to be absolutely fantastic.
Tell us, how are you involved?
Well, I've been roped in, ever since we did the Queen's Africa, Queen's International Black Hair Rock session, and you guys were on the platform as well. And, you never know who's on your platform. So Michael was on there and he just seemed to like what we do. So I've been roped in to do like a Queen's Black Hair Rocks like seminar session. So we do one on the Friday and one on the Saturday. And we're also seeking vendors. So if anybody has a business in the hair, beauty, fashion, please get in touch with me and I'll try and help you to get set up as a vendor at the event. So, when we do these platforms, you never know who's listening, who's watching. That's why you have to come and look good.
Yes.
And do your thing. So I'm really excited about that. And that's going to be up at the, that building, Freemasons in Covent Garden. Absolutely magnificent, ornate, beautiful building. And what a place to have an event. I'm hoping one day I can be up there holding events. Absolutely wonderful. And, please do get in touch with us if you want any more information. Again, you can book tickets for that on Eventbrite. So, yes, so I'm going to be a busy chick. So hence why I'm going to be on. You might see me one week, you might not see me another week. So that's, and as we come out of, lockdown, we want people to be out enjoying themselves. It's been a hard, so like nearly 18 months, nearly 2 years of being in lockdown. So people need to be out and enjoying themselves and having fun. So that's about the events. What else have I got to tell you? I think that's about it. Next, I've gone through all my notes. To find out about any future Queen's Walking Group, please check us out on Eventbrite. As most of you will know, this event has been streamed live onto Facebook. Our page is We Love Health and Wellbeing. It's also streamed live through to YouTube, Queen's 2020 lockdown series, and we've done over 20 over 20 Zoom sessions that have been uploaded onto YouTube. So please check them out. So I think I've said everything. Queens, have a fantastic day and you rock. And thank you so much for joining us. So you might see me next week and you might not. We'll see how it goes. Because this chick is busy doing all sorts. So have a wonderful Saturday and I'll see you all again soon.
Fantastic. Have a wonderful weekend, Joan, and thank you so much again.
Oh, you're very good. Thank you, guys. I'm going to stop recording now.
Recording stopped.
We can chat now for a few minutes before I go and do the washing.